Oh, it's been a while since you've heard that intro music, but we are back. It's me and Max, and we're here discussing Series 12 once again. It's been a month.
Finally.
Yeah, this video has been a long time coming, a month and a half to be precise. I mean,
A lot of other YouTubers have beaten us to it.
yeah, we didn't want to. Yeah, everyone was doing it. We didn't really want to give
Rush
you
into it.
another Series 12 video among all the other ones that people are doing. So we're here after sort of the dust has settled, if you will, a month and a half, and
Yeah, that's the phrase I kept using.
yeah, I was thinking of you. Yeah, but like we've had time to sort of mull over our opinions and watch the stories back. I mean, speaking of which, there's a few I haven't rewatched, but we're here. It's opinions. It's Cynical Who, and we're back. So yeah,
This is the general overview video, and I was very extensive in my research for this because I actually when the schools first because in UK the schools closed down and my A levels were cancelled because of the whole pandemic thing that's going on. Apparently there's a pandemic. And
didn't know.
I found myself with quite a bit of time on my hands. So the first couple of days, I just rewatched Series 12, all of it from start to finish, all 10 episodes. And yeah, that was interesting because it's the first time that I've ever been on a binge watching session like that. I don't often go back and rewatch series from start to finish, and I certainly don't do them like 5 episodes a day, like 5 in one afternoon.
Oh,
and then
blimey,
the next
mate,
afternoon
you
going
should-
on to 5.
I've been
But,
I've been at it recently. I've been well, a few weeks ago I did series 4, 5, and 6. Actually, this is something interesting. With the watch-alongs, which we'll talk a bit about later. I managed to, when I was doing my series 5 and 6 marathon, I skipped the 11th hour and the Doctor's Wife, even though they hadn't been confirmed yet for a watch-along. So maybe
Yeah,
I
you can
subconsciously knew.
Well,
Like-
yeah, you can kind of guess which episodes are going to be picked because they.
No, I just didn't want to watch them because I couldn't be asked to watch them. And by the way, I hated
right.
the Doctor's Wife on the rewatch, just in case anyone's interested.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, you can kind of guess. It's not like they're going to do a rewatch of Fear Her, which I was thinking earlier. That might actually be quite a good one to do.
I did one with my on a Discord server the other day of Fear Her. It was quite fun.
It might be quite interesting to do a mass rewatch of an episode that's less acclaimed. And see what happens.
Love and
I mean,
monsters,
even
love
if
and
people
monsters,
are pointing and
love and
laughing about it,
monsters.
at least they're having fun.
Yeah, I guess. And
I think
that's
Love and Monsters is probably
that's
going
what
to be
it's all
done at
about.
some point, but
yeah, and I've got maybe a video coming up about Love and Monsters, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, this is supposed to be about
Brilliant,
what do you
can't
call
wait.
it? Series 12.
yeah.
Yeah, we've been rambling. So I know we'll probably end up rambling and talking about like certain stories, but in like a few sentences, a paragraph, because I know what you like. How would you sum up your opinions on Series 12?
Well, this is the good thing. For the first time, for one of these improv videos, I've actually taken notes, and I've got,
Blimey.
I did some notes after watching every single episode, like a kind of diary.
It's unheard of.
just
Actually,
in
I've
case
trumped
they
you.
didn't
I
stick
made
in the
notes for
mind.
Spyfall Part 1.
Oh, right.
I mean,
In the last few minutes, since you told
admitted-
me you didn't have any notes.
I meant when we did the Spyfall review. Admittedly, it was only 2 things. I think I wrote down about how it had BBC drama at the beginning and... Can't remember. It was a few months ago. I can't remember. Anyway,
Okay, that's
yeah.
useful information. So let me just read out the bullet points that I've written down in the overall section at the end of the
Right.
at the end of the document. So, okay, passable, but not quite the return to form we were hoping for after the lackluster Series 11.
Mm-hmm.
Nice variety, although not as varied as last year. Most stories set on Earth and not other planets. I think the only 2 stories that weren't set on Earth was Can You Hear Me? And that was partially Earth and then partially a spaceship in space. Obviously, because it's a spaceship, hence. And then Timeless Children was set on Gallifrey. But apart from that, all the stories are set on Earth. And they tried to do the
Yeah.
big twist of, oh, it's an alien planet. Oh, no, it's not. It's Earth. They did that in Orphan 55, and they did it in Praxeus.
Praxeus?
Yeah, because they think because they don't realise they're at the bottom of the Indian Ocean.
Oh, okay.
They think
I
it's
guess.
an alien
Yeah,
planet,
fair
and they
enough.
don't realise it's the ocean. And they think
Mhm.
that's all progressive and, nice plot twist. And but yeah, anyway. And I do have a bullet point kind of inspired by Flower Productions' video, because I think it's a fair
goodness.
point, that they have clearly tried to act on criticisms that we had of Series 11. Because one of the things we were complaining about was the fact the 13th Doctor didn't get a big speech to get her teeth into, as it were. And we got that in Orphan 55. I mean, it didn't really fit, and it was one of the worst things about that episode, but we got the speech that we've been asking for. We wanted a more ambitious plot arc,
I feel
and
like
we got it. It was badly executed, but hey-ho. We got more returning characters and villains. Again, not as well done as we might have wanted, but yeah. And then tension and developed character for companions. Yeah, we got that. We got extra character for Yaz, which is what loads of people were asking for.
Yeah.
But that came at the expense of Ryan and Graham being somewhat sidelined and just being comic relief. And even then, Yaz didn't feel like her the bit in The Timeless Children where Graham says to Yaz, "Oh, I think you're a lovely person. I would like to make love to you and have sex with you."
What? Oh my God.
And
Yeah,
I just remember what Hill versus Babyface said, and oh god, this moment hasn't been earned.
Yeah, I remember watching that video. Yeah, that was a completely out of the blue.
And it's I
that
just
was
write
weird.
down. Much of this backfires because we still have the same problems as with Series 11, i.e. plot arcs that don't really, and character development don't really feel fully well done. And to be honest, I'm not sure which series feels fresher, Series 11 or 12. At least Series 11 was trying to do something new and different. That I don't have a problem with.
Oh, it was
It's whether
fresh.
it's
It was
good.
fresh. I think at the time I described it as Moffat had burped in his own mouth, and then he
Well-
breathes in fresh air, except it's not fresh air, it's just the
I
burp
do
again.
feel like Series 11, for all its faults, yes, it was bland, but it felt different to what had gone before, and The Woman Who Fell to Earth had
yeah.
so much potential for an
Oh,
opening episode.
Mate, I rewatched The Woman Who Fell to Earth the other day, and
I
I
was thinking about
genuinely
that the
cannot
other
see
day.
how I disliked it when on the first rewatch. I didn't
No,
dislike it, I just thought it was a bit overrated, but wow.
No, but
it's
the thing is, the Sheffield, the whole atmosphere and the dark tone of it, the fact it happens on a very dark Halloween night, and it just worked really well. And it's not as immediate as the 11th hour. You're still thinking, okay, how is this going to pan out? But there's potential there. But Series 12 just feels very tired. And it feels like... And I was talking to someone at school who hadn't watched Doctor Who since David Tennant left. And I think that's the kind of person they want to attract back into the show. And I told them about the events of The Timeless Children, and they just said, have they run out of ideas? And that's what it seems like. And
even
let me
the
just
general
continue-
audience hate it.
yeah, well, let me just... Well, they haven't even tried to pitch it to the general audience. The Timeless Children was just fan wank, for want of a better word. I'm just going to carry on these bullet points, otherwise we'll be here all night. But Jodie Whittaker hasn't done it for me. Not a bad actress, but miscast. Certainly captures the sharp thinking brain activity of the Doctor, but lacking leading presence and range. Lacking leading presence and range. Not range.
I think
question mark there. I think she could do.
No, I'd have to disagree with you. I've heard a few other people saying she's been miscast. When you're saying that sort of leading quality, I'd have to disagree with you, because think about scenes like the speech in The Haunting of Villa Diodati towards the end, and bits in Ascension of the
Yeah.
Cybermen where she's moaning at the companions at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
But yeah, to be honest, thinking about it now, I think it's more the scripts than anything else. The scripts haven't been tailored to suit Jodie Whittaker and play to Jodie's strengths. That's how I feel at the moment. It's
Yeah.
like it's a very bland imitation of the Doctor, but that's the script and not necessarily the actress. But again, I'm not really sure, to be honest. And I do think the series was poorly structured. I can't help but think a better episode order, like having Praxis earlier on, but then it would have contradicted with Orphan 55, but I'll talk about that later. But we had that same
God.
problem with Series 11. Arachnids in the UK really needs to come before Rosa. I can understand why they put Rosa before, but... and I've put down some problems that I feel need to be addressed, and it's the same problems as Series 11. Would
Yep.
like to see more returning writers from before the Chibnall era. Like Maxine Alderton was great, but I would like to see Phil Ford, Robert Shearman. I mean, Russ T.
Ooh.
Davies and Stephen Moffat would be the big dreams, but I wouldn't be
Mo-
surprised if they don't come back in the
Actually,
future, to be
Moffat
honest.
the other day said that he's not going to come back to Doctor Who because he's ran out of ideas. So
Well, I mean, someone said, yeah, but he did a brilliant short story recently called Terror of the Umpty Ums, which was an interesting short story, but then that's not necessarily the same as TV.
yeah,
And I do understand they might not want to come back necessarily, because there has been that rumour that they're going to come back, but I'm reading The Writer's Tale at the moment by Ross T. Davis. That I bought that book recently,
Oh yeah.
and being showrunner is hell.
Mhm.
Especially if you want to make a good product.
Yeah.
It's not a 9 to 5 job. I don't know. That might be how Chibnall's treating it. I don't know necessarily. That's what subconsciously how I feel. But blood, sweat, and tears is required to make it. And having done it for 7 years, Moffat might not be keen to go back to it. And Davis has said something very similar. But
Fair enough.
even if it was just people like Phil Ford and writers who know the show. New writers is great, but I think it's about that balance is important. And I've just written in bold: exposition too much, show don't tell.
Yeah.
Too many characters and companions, too much repetition of old ideas we've seen before. It's like they haven't bothered to come up with new good stories. And I think the worst one was too many filler episodes that don't drive the central arcs of plot and character forward.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have necessarily improved the plot arc, but
we'll get to
still.
those, but
I've rambled on quite a bit. But
you
what
have.
did you make of it all?
Better than Series 11. I think they're really going to have to blow it out the water for Series 13, considering, we'll talk about it later, obviously the backlash that the fandom has received, the show has received by the fandom because of this series, mainly the ending.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty decent series. Looking through, it's got some pretty okay stories, good stories, some very good stories, but some I don't know.
I would
there's obviously a few hit and miss, but you're going to get that in every series.
I would say I think there's a few good stories. They're wrapped in a bit of a shitty plot arc, but there are a few good stories. Yeah, but it's just my main problem. It doesn't feel like they're trying to come up with new good ideas.
No. It's definitely bold what he did, but do you think maybe we should do that thing where we go through each story individually?
Yeah, let's do that now.
Yeah. So let's cast our minds all the way back till the 1st of January.
I should say before I start that a lot of my opinions haven't changed too much since the first impressions, which it's kind of surprised me. The only one is the Timeless Children, and perhaps Can You Hear Me? But we'll get back to that.
Yeah. What was I? 1st of January, I had just posted a Beatles guitar cover, and I was eating a fish finger sandwich when the episode aired.
I can tell you've rehearsed this part.
I haven't. That's just mean. That's honestly, I don't know why I remember that night so vividly, because it's also the same day I posted my teaser for my War Doctor FA. Well, not War Doctor, Time War. It's still coming, by the way, guys.
8th Doctor Figure Adventures.
Still coming. And also I had a curry and watched a TV movie. Anyway, Spyfall Part 1. What do we think? Obviously, guys, I should probably mention that we've done reviews for each individual episode on the nights they came out, but I think the problem with that series is that was... Yeah, first impressions, which is sort of the Achilles heel to that series, in that this is sort of the addendum.
We were still trying to cast our thoughts together, and they hadn't been influenced by the outer fandom's response.
And they got views, so...
Particularly with Orphan 55, that was quite interesting.
We'll get onto that later, but...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too! Alright, so Spyfall Part 1, it opens and... God, I'm going to have to think hard. It's a decent story. I tell you what, let's just talk about Spyfall as a sort of a general episode, because it is.
Because I think it's meant to be watched as one whole. That's not what
definitely.
I did. But I actually watched Part 1 in the last week, like the Wednesday, a week before they announced the schools were closing, and then I watched Part 2 once it was all over. Sob. But I do think, given the titles, Part 1, Part 2, it's meant to be seen as one whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is actually a bit, sitting down for 2 hours is a big ask. Sitting down for 1 hour is pretty exhausting.
I've got to mention...
Which isn't normally with RTD episodes, but anyway, go on.
It's maybe to do with the fact they're a bit longer, even 5 minutes, but... episodes I've rewatched, I should probably mention. Spyfall, I've rewatched. Orphan 55, I've rewatched too many times, which is a bit... Oh dear. Nikola Tesla, haven't rewatched. Fugitive, I've watched a couple of times. Praxeus, haven't rewatched. Can You Hear Me? I've rewatched once, just a few minutes ago. And Haunting of Villa Diodati, I've rewatched, and the finale haven't. Probably worth mentioning that. But Spyfall, especially upon a rewatch, it in one go, as you mentioned, I still think that it was a very average story.
Yeah.
Not that it was bad. I think obviously there was going to be a lot of hype around the first episode because the Master's back, and obviously it's the first episode
Well,
for
that
of
wasn't
the
the
year.
bit that was
And
being hyped. It was just the fact that it'd been away for a
Yeah,
year and
yeah.
now it was coming back. And
I mean, of course, Sacha Dhawan. We have to talk about Sacha Dhawan because
oh yeah,
his portrayal is amazing, and I'm so glad to see him back at the end of Ascension. That bit genuinely made me smile to see him back because.
well, I think his line there is quite cliched, but no, I think he was certainly one of the best things about this series.
He was very decent. I'd like to see him back again at some point, but hopefully not wasted and hopefully doing something worthwhile. And I feel like he was used quite well in the in Spyfall. It was an okay story. I've heard a lot more people praise it. Obviously, I think a lot of pilots get overrated. Like the 11th Hour, I've always thought was quite overrated. I mean, we did the rewatch a few weeks ago, and I've sort of come to terms with that. It is actually a very good story. Same with The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and I'm still yet to rewatch the pilot from series 10 because that episode is just That's not
Same
even.
here.
It's just wank. It's not even fan wank. It's just 45 minutes of wank. Is it even 45 minutes? I don't care. Nothing happens. I don't see why people like it.
We're meant to be talking about Series 12, Oliver.
Yeah.
Spyfall.
Series 12 is a thing. Oh no, Spyfall. Yeah. The monsters are okay. Stephen, what's his name?
Stephen Fry.
That's the one.
He only appears for a few minutes, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets shot.
Yeah, the biggest guest star this series has, and he gets like 5 lines. And then...
Well, Annie Henry.
I mean, to be fair, you can't imagine anyone else playing the part. But,
no, you can't really. But yeah, I think it was generally a sort of decent story. Felt like it was borrowing a few things from other eras, of course, where you could spot it.
I've just put who episodes ripped off for the first few episodes, and then I couldn't be bothered for the last few, but it's Army of Ghosts, The Sound of Drums, and
definitely.
Dark Water.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know
why I put Dark Water.
Yeah, I was going to say, why Dark Water, but...
I think because the Master reveal. That might be why.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But, yeah, I think it did well to be its own thing. I think Jodie was better in it. I think that's a lot... I'm planning to make a separate video about this, but I'd like to mention Jodie's character. She's better in this series, but I'd say there's not much to improve on because I didn't mind her character in series 11 because she. Okay, some of the lines are off. I will admit.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's quite French, isn't it?
Huh?
Oh, the kisses joke. That's quite French, isn't it?
Oh, I don't mind it. I don't
get it. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
I don't get it. But like, in Arachnids in the UK, she went on some rant about fried Portuguese breakfast or something.
Can I just put what I've written down for Spyfall?
You can.
I'm just reading my notes here, but superficially a fun ride, but a bit long when you watch it all the way through.
Yep.
I'm still not sure if Noor Inyat Khan and Ada Lovelace were necessary elements in part 2.
That's what I was meant to mention, is that part 2 sort of loses its way.
I feel like it does lose a bit
of
steam in the second part, and it's like, why are Khan and Ada there? They just make the story more convoluted.
Looking back
and
on
they
it,
distract from the main focus.
It's very slow, looking back on it.
Was the story meant to be about spice and technology? I think the story's comments on technology could have perhaps been better explored than some dialogue which, while great, had no impact on the rather messy, convoluted plot.
Yeah, take that, War Machines.
The best 2 moments of part 2 are when Lenny Henry does a speech to the conference where he says, "Thank you for giving us everything." That was brilliant.
Accept cookies.
And then Jodie Whittaker's comment towards the end where she goes, "That's the thing about technology, you never know when you're being spied upon." I liked that bit.
Ooh.
But the actual, when you start questioning the whole plan, like,
yeah,
it's rather messy. Who were the Kasavin? You know, because
I didn't get it. That wanted to kill the spies.
I didn't
for
get
shits
it
and giggles.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any points on Spicer's story, and I thought the Kasavin would come back in the end, so I didn't question it at the time. But now it seems they're not coming back, or maybe they are in Series 13. I don't know. But who are they? Did the Master really enter into a pact with them? just to get the Doctor's attention, because that seems to be what the whole plan is about. The point of it is just to tell the Doctor Gallifrey's done.
Well, the
Like
Master would
Ascension of the
always...
Cybermen, the whole point of it is getting the Doctor to Gallifrey. And then what happened to Daniel Barton at the end? It's a bit of an anticlimax for his character. Although Lenny Henry was not bad in the role.
He moved to Bolivia and start living in a hut.
Oh yeah. Why did the Doctor seem to take so much pleasure in the Master being captured by Nazis and getting trapped in the Kasavin's dimension, when she was never the sort of person to give people a taste of their own medicine? In another Chibnall story, Cold Blood, the 11th Doctor says, an eye for an eye, that's never the way.
Yeah.
I did moderately enjoy this story on second viewing, but it evidently leaves more questions than it answers, especially in hindsight. If this opener had been the weakest story, and it was just the beginning of something greater, I wouldn't have minded, but the finale was worse. I'd probably give it a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10.
Can we
And
just
that's
talk?
my insight.
Can we talk about Orphan 55? It's much more enjoyable. I can't think of much to say.
Let's talk about that.
It's the one that people don't like because it's political. Oh. Right. So Orphan 55, I usually get a strong reaction against because I tell people I like it and then I get a slap across the face. And it's got some really nice concepts. I really like the ideas. It's like, as I think, yeah, it's like the mysterious planet on cocaine. And I think you mentioned that in a video before, but it's like,
well, I refer to it as the
poor
Mysterious
man's
Planet as the rich man's Orphan 55.
yeah, which
'Cause
it is.
I think Mysterious Planet did tackle the whole idea of the planet actually being Earth a lot better, because there was a genuine sense of mystery as opposed to it being a shot. But even then, I mean, there it's kind of glossed over.
I don't suppose there's a place called Marble Arch on Ravelox.
Yeah, but then it's like part 3, there's a revelation. Oh, this is Earth, and then it's back to the main story, really. But here it's dealt with very differently. It's a much more, it's executed in a different way, because it's essentially to show. It's like the end of the world, showing how everything is finite and exploring that more. But go on.
It's nice concepts. Characters, big no-no. Ending, big no-no. It's sort of like, I was just thinking about like the holiday resort, if you will, aspect of it. It's like, I don't know. It's an interesting setting because I don't think it's been done before, apart from like Paradise Towers, which is fucking excellent. And
is it better than this story?
Oh god, Paradise Towers, everyone hates it, but it is just a quality piece of classic Who.
But one of the criticisms I've heard
Blue
is that
Kangs,
the story...
Blue Kangs, Blue Kangs.
One of the criticisms that I've heard of this story is that it lacks tonal focus, and that is from Doctor Who Magazine's own critic. Would you agree with that?
Blimey. Lacks focus?
Well, there's like a constant tonal shift between... I think you get that in the first few minutes, but apart from that, the mood remains quite dark throughout. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of the. I mean, you do need to be in a. Don't watch it if you're in a bad mood, because it is one of the most nihilistic and pessimist episodes.
Is it?
Of a show. Well, it is certainly a pessimist episode.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
People like Russ T Davies were saying, "Oh, the show is optimistic and life affirming." This episode definitely isn't. And
if you don't stop fucking putting plastic in the sea, you'll end up like a fucking BTEC hoiks. Basically, that's what they look like.
This story, and I do actually echo your comments. I do think there's something seriously wrong with me, because I didn't think this story was that bad. I mean, we'll get onto that. I will say that
I'm really looking forward to the comments.
For those
on
of
this
you
video.
who are thinking I'm a J-bot, I would be very critical of the second half of this series, Praxeus and Ascension of the Cybermen. But although Orphan 55 has more cons than pros on my list here, for some weird reason, I do actually enjoy it. It does flag a bit in the last 10 minutes. It's like when they're trying to rescue Silas, the little kid. It's like one moment of false jeopardy or too many. And there are too many characters. And, well, I'll get onto the cons in a minute. But let me just read this. Okay, so... Reminiscent of the Caves of Androzani in how the characters can only try to evacuate and survive, but can't undo the situation or defeat the monsters. which I quite like. I'm not saying Androzani is worse than this. Androzani is a masterpiece.
Oh
But
yeah. Which I did an artwork video for, so go and
yes.
click that. I'm quite proud of that one, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a little flat, but I like the idea is the main thing, and yeah, it looks quite good. So pros, direction and acting. The acting.
Were you talking about the story or my artwork then?
The artwork. Anyway,
oh.
So pros, direction. The acting was actually pretty decent, and the direction to an extent as well. Pacing was initially good. I liked how you had a few moments of jolly fun, and then it very quickly ramped up. But it does feel like it could have been 40 minutes. You could have lost the last 10 minutes and redone the ending. And yeah, some unnecessary plot twists and backstories. Too many characters, with some being wasted. Nevi and Silas, they do help at the end, but other than that, they spend the rest of the episode milling around doing nothing, so it doesn't mean anything. The episode tries pointlessly to create a romance between Ryan and Bella when it had no need to. It happened too quickly to be realistic and had no impact on Ryan's arc overall, especially since in Spyfall Part 1 he wanted Yaz's sister's number, so what was the fucking point? The dregs, although they do appear in your face quite a lot, they could have been scarier, although I do think the deaths were, like the deaths of Hyphen and Benny's other half, were pretty effective.
Benny!
Now, a lot of people moan about that, saying that was bad acting, but I think that was deliberately
Benny!
There were some other jokes, like the virus at the start and Ryan swatting the bats. That didn't really work. But I would have liked more of a moral dilemma regarding whether or not the team should have gone to look for Benny, because it is a suicide mission, and he's very likely not to survive anyway.
Well, they did look for him, didn't they? They did look for him.
Well, yeah, but they didn't really question it. It's like, oh, we've got to help Benny, and there was no question of.
Please shoot me.
Yeah,
that was
there
me.
Was no questioning. I think there could have been some good dialogue there if they'd been a bit more even-handed about it. And it's like, why should we do this? It's only one person, and yeah, but everyone here is dead anyway. If we just save one person, yeah, but it's a suicide mission. We're not going to survive, and
yeah, it's like the same problem as Praxis. There's too many characters and not enough focus on the plot itself. And
well,
even though some of the concepts are pretty solid, I mean, Praxis less so, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I really like the ideas of Wolfen 55, and I like what it was trying to be. Execution was just a bit flat, and I like the idea of the dregs. Oh, and sorry, before I interrupt you,
I would like to. Sorry, go on.
I would just like to mention how the dregs are shot, in that they look fantastic in the dark.
Yeah, some people said they looked like cheap 80s costumes. That I disagree with. They did look great. They could have been scarier, I think, but then again, I'm not an 8-year-old kid, so...
But when they're out in the daylight, they look a bit less threatening. I've heard people mention that. I didn't think that at first, but then I've sort of grown to realise it. Same goes to Ashad in the finale, in Ascension.
Yeah,
he looks so cool.
In Villa Diodati.
Yeah.
But, oh god, I forgot what I was gonna say, and it was a really good thing.
Well, it's typical Who. You can't have quality.
Dregs. It was something to do with dregs looking dark and I've remembered. The reason it works so well is because they're so different to what we've had in the rest of Doctor Who. The last time I remember Doctor Who going for scary was Women Who Fell to Earth, I think, and Ghost Monument. There was quite a tense moment in that, but it's not really something. When he gets when he gets choked to death by the by the flag thing, remnant or whatever. But yeah, it's the horror direction Doctor Who hasn't really gone in for a while, so that's why it felt so effective, because it felt so out of place. The only other thing I want to mention is the speech at the end.
Here we go.
I do agree with people that the politics could have been done in a less heavy-handed way. A lot of the dialogue about humanity should have changed, included the Doctor's end speech was not necessary. And I do think the ending... I do like the idea of it ending on a bit of an abrupt downer, but I do think it could have done with a lot less words in general. Again, it goes back to things left unsaid and show don't tell, which is the main problem with the Chibnall era.
SJW, you cuck, you fucking
queer. A lot of people say this is a shit episode, and I can't bring myself, in all honesty, to say that it is. Episodes towards the end of the series are shit, but I did enjoy this, and I'm aware it has faults. I'm aware there are so many things that could have been done better, but
Like me.
It is interesting. It is one of the more interesting episodes of the series.
It is
And
interesting.
and it is one of the episodes we remember, isn't it?
Of course, it's very memorable. I've heard people call it the worst episode ever,
Yeah.
which I
And
disagree with.
Yeah, but it is at least memorable. The same cannot be said for the episode that succeeds it.
Yeah,
Which is the
Nikola
complete opposite
Tesla's
of Orphan 55.
Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. I literally cannot remember a single thing from this story.
I do not have anything to say about it.
It's a bit.
I have just written 2 sentences.
Okay.
Okay, certainly
Mercy.
portrays Tesla. Yeah. Okay, certainly portrays Tesla reasonably respectfully, and this is written in shorthand, so you can see how much I cared. So Tesla is portrayed very well, but the story is carried more by its guest performances than its competent but lightweight writing. I think Anjali Mahindra and Goran Visnyik, their performances are the best thing about this. And Anjali as Queen Skifra looked incredible. Not in a kind of weird sort of fetish way.
Spider fetish. You got a kink for claws, have you?
What?
But yeah, but it looked good. The monster looked good. Sorry, I'm fiddling with a glue gun, so if I burn myself here,
Are you making a model at the moment as we speak?
I'm not as we speak. That would be. I am making a 13th Doctor's TARDIS console room actually at the moment, but
Oh right.
I'll send you pictures. It will be on my Twitter, guys. I mean, it's a bit outdated, but yeah. What was I saying? The acting is good. It's shot good. Robert Glenister, it's the guy from the Caves of Androzani.
Yeah.
It's like it's okay, but I haven't gone back to watch it. I maybe class it as overrated just because a lot of people seem to praise it, and I just have no motivation to watch it whatsoever.
It's bread and butter would be the apt term to describe it. And I think
it's not even bread and butter. It's just bread. It's not even nice bread. I bet it's okay. Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror is brown bread. Just putting it out there.
Well, brown bread, I prefer brown bread to white bread. But then again, I have no real preference.
Get the fuck out.
At least it's not mouldy.
At least it's not fucking honestly, if you like seeded brown bread.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, my God.
Seeded bread is the worst thing since seeded bread.
Okay.
I think this episode, this is not enough as it is, so can we please move on?
I could see it being an 8th Doctor story. It's Fugitive. This is the one that a lot of people didn't like. No, people liked it.
I don't fucking know about this one.
There's Captain Jack, and he's a person. He does some things. Fugitive was good fun.
I can't decide whether this episode was good or bad, but I can certainly. I think it's actually.
Neither.
Well, let me just read this. Very little to say. Well, I have more to say about it than Nikola Tesla, but blessed by some good guest performances, locations, and prosthetics, but a good setup for a bad plot arc. I think that sums it up in general. Jadoon well realised, and it was nice to see Captain Jack back. Yeah, but Jack does hardly anything other than flirt and gets very little screen time.
The story's like fan fiction written by a teenager with ADHD. It's like, it's Jadoon, it's Captain Jack, it's a new Doctor who's actually a previous Doctor because there's a whole set of new Doctors. Oh my God, it's Rassilon and Gallifrey on my fuck. It's basically like that.
They brought Jack back for the hell of it, but Timeless Children feels more like fan fiction than this, to be fair. But it's not as enjoyable as it was when you didn't know what was going to happen. It would have been what I did actually think. Parallel Universe Doctor. There were so many ways that this could have been used to serve a good plot arc, and it's like it would have been good if Ruth actually turned out to be a future or parallel Doctor or another Time Lord. And I've got the following quote written down: "That's a TARDIS. It used to belong to someone called the Doctor, but tragically she died in a freak yachting accident, so it was auctioned and I won it." That is so much more interesting and original than what we ultimately got.
That would have been funny, I think.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
Parallel Universe Doctor. And it can't even be pre-Hartnell Doctor, because as people pointed out after this episode was transmitted, it's a police box.
Honestly, I just remember I can't remember the guy's name, but you know who I'm talking about because you made the remix of him saying how to have sex underage. But
That's something from the next Corp album, not the one that's immediately being released a week from now, but something.
Can you remember
that.
the guy's name? The guy who's like he filmed his reaction.
I don't even know his name.
He filmed his reaction for the Fugitive of the Jadoon, and
Yeah, he was very positive about it, wasn't he?
he was like, I can get on board with it being a woman, but not black, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? What are you?
Well, it's constructive criticism. I'm being sarcastic, of course, just in case that didn't fly with people. But it doesn't work as a standalone story. It's just trying to keep you invested in the series in general.
And I feel like
make the major revelation of a pre-Hartnell Doctor easier to swallow by throwing you nostalgia bait like Captain Jack and the Jadoon. Although I must agree with Mark Gatiss, it was quite clever what they did, hiding one popular character, hiding a big surprise behind a popular character.
I mean,
but it's just a pale imitation of Utopia, really, isn't it? Like I say, if Ruth had been the Rani or Parallel Doctor, that would have been fine. But
kind of was a Parallel Doctor. But I think what was I going to say? Oh, now I've forgotten what I was going to say.
It's nice to have balance, though.
Oh, that was it. The series arc, what you were mentioning earlier. I think putting something so groundbreaking in the middle of the series and then next week it's back to normal. It's like, well, hang on, what?
Yeah, and
I think maybe if you swap this round with "Can you hear me," that might work.
Yeah, and this was my main problem with Praxis because we followed this up with Praxis. You're right to move it on now.
Sure, honestly, we've gone 36 minutes. We need to.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this video. If you've made it to this point in the video, well done. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, you're very devoted. Yeah,
Some
I've
may
just
say
written
sad.
loads of bullet. I'm just going to read what I've written down. Utterly mediocre. Too many supporting characters, not enough plot. The story feels lighter than an aero bar filled with helium.
What the fuck? That is you.
I spent
You are
ages thinking that up.
That is it's good, but you're just yeah, whatever.
And I know this was Millennium FX's last story, and I draw your attention to their Instagram post where they said, "We're leaving after 15 years. Our first story was Rose, and it's about plastic killing people, and now our last story is about like a virus that infects plastic and uses that to kill people." Anyway, moving on. I mean, is that a veiled attack on the current regime or what? I don't know. But it's like, how the hell did they escape the birds in the lab? Because you know when they all swarm the lab, it looks great, but even so,
they should have been fucking pecked to death.
Yeah, how could they have survived that? No one mentioned Aramu at the end. Aramu gets killed at that point, and hardly anyone mentions him.
Yeah, again.
They're on the beach, all smiles. No one mentions Aramu, and I think that is racist because he was a black character.
Honestly, Doctor Who these days is too diverse.
Yeah, but they were too busy making sure they didn't subscribe to the kill your gays cliche trope that's apparently a thing.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But,
what is this? What is this?
And so I'll get onto that in a minute. The gay subplot didn't fit and feel It felt heavy-handed.
You can't call it a gay subplot. It was just people.
Yeah, but it's like it didn't add anything to the story. Neither did the plastic pollution. Well, the plastic pollution concept was.
Well, neither did their cocks.
Not as bad as the gay subplot, but
stop calling it a gay subplot.
But it's like I do think the director tried their best, but the guest performances are not great. Particularly the just the three, like the astronaut, the retired policeman. Yeah, and that girl as well, and who just gets on too easily, despite the fact her friend dies, and she's just irritating.
She is very irritating, and there's it's same as Orphan 55. There's too many characters that people don't care about.
This actually suffered worse than Orphan 55. It is worse than Orphan 55. This is the worst episode ever.
I was quite liking.
That's actually going too far. I don't mind watching it, but it's just. And the thing is as well, I expected it to be quite hard hitting on second viewing, given the present business with a virus going around and killing people in real life. But it was actually quite disappointing to learn that COVID-19 and Praxis are actually quite different to each other. So that's not really. And 2 points that I find interesting. One, Graham and Ryan don't know what a pathogen is because they ask what it is when the doctor mentions the term.
Maybe they're just really.
The term came up when I learnt GCSE biology.
Well, they're from Sheffield. You can't.
Yeah, but No, but they would have learnt it in biology, surely.
He drives a
I
bus,
just-
for fuck's sake. You think
And that
he
is
learned
my main
biology?
evidence that the show is trying too hard to be educational. It's trying too hard to be educational and pander to young children at the expense of entertaining older generations. Well, just entertaining, full stop. Number 2, why does the Doctor save the person who sacrificed themselves in this story, but doesn't do so in Orphan 55? I mean, at least this. To be fair, at least the story,
No.
and this is what I mean about the whole burial gaze. It's just done to fill an agenda because they're aware that people will get angry on Twitter about it, despite the fact Ianto's death was effective, and this would have been effective, and I wouldn't have.
Oh, it's like when
complained if the
people
guy
were
had
calling Doctor Who homophobic because in Resolution a gay character got killed.
Yeah, I think that maybe they were trying to make up for that, but. To be fair, I have come up with like headcanon answer. We've been having this debate about headcanon. Headcanon's great. So why does the Doctor save the person who sacrifices himself in the story, but not in Orphan 55? And I was going to say put Praxis at the start before Orphan 55, but actually, you know what? This story should come after Orphan 55 because, it looks as though the Doctor intends to make up for Orphan 55. But even so, it does feel a bit inconsistent, and it's up there with Last Spirit. It's up there with what I'm calling Conspiracy Gate from Series 11.
Oh yeah,
You remember that, right?
Yeah, I was literally thinking
I
about
don't
that
like
earlier.
conspiracies. No way, I actually like them.
No,
Oh no, it's the other way around. She liked conspiracies and then she didn't like them.
No, in Arachnids. Yeah, that's it. I love the conspiracy.
And Arachnids
Things I
then
don't
Praxis.
like. Conspiracy.
And but yeah, we've talked about that before.
No, Kablam,
And
you
I've-
twat. You got it wrong. Idiot.
So yeah,
Delete this.
Praxis, I've given it a very generous rating of 4 out of 10.
I'd probably go with a 5. No, a 4. No, a 4. A 4. I'd say a 4.
But the thing is, Hill versus Babyface's review of it is too embedded in my mind.
That is
And
hilarious.
that's why I noticed all the plot holes, and I kind of agree with them. I would have liked that Brazilian girl to be like, she's all sort of hostile at the start and doesn't trust them, and I would have liked them to carry that on for a bit longer. It's just,
I liked
it feels a bit weird the way she suddenly goes, oh no, wait, this is
Suki.
all right. Moving on.
I liked Suki. I thought she was going to be a good character, but then she was evil for some reason. Yeah, I mean, Praxis was alright. It was fun. Was it
shit.
fun? It.
Actually, I don't really know. I think it was below average, I'd say.
I think I might
Shit
prefer.
The term shit implies that I was throwing my remote at the screen, and I have to stress, I didn't feel that with any of the episodes.
I will
Not
say.
even Timeless Children, and I would sit down to watch them again.
This
if it
is-
was choice between this and an RTD series, I'd go
Oh.
RTD, but
Well,
even so, it's
yeah.
not.
I will say.
Shit is too strong a word,
Yeah, definitely.
and this
I will-
series doesn't deserve it.
I will say that Praxis is not my least favourite. That goes to a story later on in the series, not the one
Yeah,
you're
same
thinking.
here.
Not the one you're thinking, guys. It's the other one.
The one
Controversial.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting because you said you liked it or rewatch, but we'll get on to that in a minute. Shall we move? Shall we talk about Can You Hear Me?
can you
Now,
hear
this
me
is-
now?
This is interesting because you've just watched this episode before we started recording.
I have. Because I wanted to. I couldn't do the review without rewatching it just because I didn't remember anything. And
Yeah.
I will say it's probably my favourite of the season. Maybe Haunting is above it, but this is my second favourite. Probably my second favourite story from the whole era. Because
I would say, for
I really
me, it's
liked it.
third favourite. Go on.
Yeah, I like the ideas, I like the characters, the motives, the way it was shot. That's also something I'd like to mention. It's really hard to dislike any of the Chibnall era stuff because it just looks so goddamn good. The score, the cinematography, the CGI, the
Yeah,
direction
cinematography is
is
all right.
it's bloody. I mean, going from something like, I don't want to say it, but that Capaldi episode to
The Twice Upon a Time.
you said it. You can't. Going from that to the woman who fell to earth, it's like, wow.
The cinematography is great in episode 1, but it's like I say, episode 1 there was so much promise.
I mean, the grading, the colour grading was a bit off in practice. I remember in our practice review, we somehow managed to get it to 40 minutes because we were rambling on about some other shit, and we were rambling about
I wasn't so sure about the cinematography and the aspect
Make
ratio.
it 21:9, please.
No, I think the aspect ratio and cinematography were fine, but it just looks a bit synthetic, and I miss the granularity of film. But of course, film is very fiddly and expensive.
Oh, fun fact: the Series 1 trailer, no, the Series 1 and 2 trailers were made on 35mm film.
Oh. So
And
that's something to
also,
look forward to when they do the collection Blu-rays then.
possibly, and probably worth mentioning that in
Which
the
is
War
a great
Machines review,
film.
I gave you some words to say on my behalf. I got it wrong. It wasn't 35, it was 16, and I made a typo. It wasn't 15, it was 16. So there we go.
Yeah. I quoted directly from his emails for that review, but you put that in the comments that
Yes.
you've made a typo, so it's fine. By the way, did you like what I'd done with the end? Because I said there's a typo, whoever spots it gets a prize.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I asked you, do you want to change the word? It was the word courtesy.
I couldn't be
and it's
asked.
like- I noticed that when I first saw it. It's like, do you want to change it?
Just couldn't,
I did,
couldn't be bothered.
And I did think it was a bit weird when it says the War Machines review on the intro. They look a bit misaligned. But
That's just the font. I honestly, it was the most aligned. If that was any font, it would look normal. But that was just the font's fault.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Can
Only
you
a
hear
bad
me?
workman blames his tools.
Oh well. Can you hear me? I like Jodie's jumper in it, the blue. It goes really nice with the blue. It
Oh,
does.
this is how low we've sunk. We're just talking about the jumper.
I like her costume, and I like the blue jumper, and I like the blue jumper, how it goes with the way the TARDIS is shot in that episode. It's all blue, and I love it. That's probably the best Jodie's TARDIS has
I
looked.
do like what they did with the TARDIS mood lighting, particularly in this episode and in Nikola Tesla. There
I
are
like-
some good moments.
I like the way they've changed the TARDIS overall. It feels a lot more spacious because they've removed some of the roundels at the back. They've changed the pillars and whatnot.
I still prefer the Pickwood TARDIS, but then you could have replaced it. It was so good. It's like,
Yeah.
what would you top that up with?
They've added those hexagonal bases at the bottom of the pillars, which on my model I made them all square, then realised they were hexagonal, so I had to go back and redo them today, which was a pain in the arse. But yeah,
But
I like
yeah.
it.
Can
in-
I?
Yeah,
Go
sure,
on.
whatever.
Well, I just basically this is what I've written down. Don't know what to think. Hyphen. A lot of great ideas regarding nightmares and human psychology.
Oh,
Open
definitely.
brackets.
Oh,
Zelin's
definitely.
speech on how humans put themselves down is great, although occasionally his general dialogue did stray into camp melodrama. But the episode falls apart in the last 15 minutes due to its pacing. The denouement features nice ideas about how humans contain their nightmares, but it feels rushed just so the writers can attempt to turn the story into a statement on mental health, which wasn't needed and felt slapped on and forced in a desperate attempt to gain headlines of approval on Twitter. Like, Tebow's subplot was particularly irritating. And we'll talk about the Doctor's words to Graham in a minute, but I want to focus on Tebow. I will say
fuck, yeah.
CGI faltered with this episode with the Chagaska looking particularly unrealistic, but that's probably budgetary reasons.
Yeah. I
We
think
accept it.
I
But the thing about Tebow, it's like Ryan goes, "Are you talking to anyone about this?" And it's like, "No, and I'm not going to." And it just snaps. It just felt really one-dimensional. And it's like, well, can we understand why? And it's like, there's no other side to it. It's like, why did he not want to see a therapist? Because people can, there's an argument that therapists are pretty patronising people. It's like Ryan says, "Oh, no,
Oh god,
Ryan,
I found that in the
Ryan
episode that
affects-
policewoman who comes to talk to Yaz was so
Yeah.
patronising.
Yeah, and
Like-
Ryan forces Tebow to go see a therapist instead of actually sitting down. The whole point is listening to people, but it's like, oh, well, I'm not listening to you. You go, and it just feels like trying to say you're not alone. It's like the episode was about nightmares, not about mental health. So this is what I mean.
Well,
It feels slapped on, and
I think
oh,
it was
I'm
done. I disagree. I think
And
it was done quite nicely.
well, this episode actually inspired me, along with, that Lloyd's Bank advert where they've got the post-it notes on their foreheads. Look it up on YouTube, and it's like a Lloyd's Bank advert where they're saying 1 in 4 of our staff and customers suffer from mental health. Let's get it out in the open. Lloyd's Bank, on your side. Why is a bank lecturing me about the need to speak up about mental health? And it's just, this is the thing that I feel about propaganda. I've not suffered from mental health issues yet. So maybe this is just me being entitled. But it just feels so heavy-handed. It's like, oh, you suffering from mental health problems? Well, maybe the problem is you're not talking about it. Talk about it, you wimp. It's like, I enjoy my solitude, and it actually inspired me to come up. I've started writing a short story called Sad Helpless Souls, and it opens with someone jumping off a high story building and killing themselves, and people rush to help, including the doctor, but he then gets pushed out the way by a photographer. And then the photo's displayed in an art exhibition, and you get an art critic basically stroking his chin and going, yes, it's very poignant, isn't it? What do you think the feminist reading of this suicide is? And his brother's standing next to him thinking he's deranged, and then just walks out irritated. And my provisional plan for it is that he's frustrated with the world, and he just gets into an argument with someone in a cafe, and then the Gestapo, like the secret police, come and doorstep him and go, you've not been talking about your problems, you've been bossing them inside, you know the penalty for not talking about your problems. And as a result, he gets sent to a torture house,
Jesus,
where he's perpetually whipped for not talking about how he feels.
What?
And then for some
happens in your
reason, he
mind?
commits
How did you
suicide
come
himself at the end. I think that sums up how I feel about the whole sort of mental health campaign that's going on at the moment.
You're
Now,
18. You're not meant to be corrupt at this point.
This is partly why I didn't really like the episode straying into that territory. Now, to be fair, they did have a mental health charity advising them, called Mind.
Yeah.
So, I should stress that for balance. But yeah, it's a decent episode, but I do feel it's dragged down by the need for a message.
If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in this review, you can go and fuck yourself.
Yeah, phone this number, which is the number for a prostitute, because I like pulling those jokes.
A Swedish prostitute
yeah.
you found on telephone kiosk as a reference.
Yeah,
There you
I know, it's just me repeating gags because I'm lazy. Can we talk about the doctor's words to Graham at the end?
No.
Because you were
No.
talking beforehand that
Yeah.
you loved it. You
I-
loved that, mate.
I was watching it and I was DMing Max at the same time. Let me read it out. I put here we go.
This is constructive criticism.
I'm rewatching Can You Hear Me? I'll be a bit late. That's okay. I've got a few minutes left, and the next message I sent was fucking cunt.
In capitals.
Yeah, in
Now, I should stress, to be fair, I think it was Harbo Holmes who said this as well, and they was someone who'd been suffering from... I have seen YouTubers who have been suffering from mental health problems justify this, and that's fair enough, because their justifications have been fair enough, because it's like... it's about how difficult it is to find the words, but it still feels out of character for the doctor to say that. And someone did
I'm a bit socially awkward. I'm just gonna look at the concert. Okay, I'm gonna admit, it didn't seem as bad as I remembered it.
To me personally, it felt out of character for the doctor, and it felt cruel.
Yes.
And it felt, I go by what I said in my first impressions. She's a sociopathic twat. And someone did say, but at least she's not saying the usual buzzwords that it's all going to be okay, because that's not actually very helpful. But, I mean, that's a fair excuse, but it's just, again, it just feels like the need for a message kind of trounces character and dialogue, because I still don't think why not just have the doctor go okay and just hug Graham? Is that really too much to ask?
I'm really sorry that would have been good. I'm really sorry to interrupt this review, but I've just realised I'm looking over at it and I've made the hexagonal bits octagonal. On my console. I've made an octagonal TARDIS room!
No, but that's radical!
It's
Doctor
meant to
Who
be
is
accurate.
about change. Doctor Who is not about being purist.
I'm gonna have to redo them again!
No, run
This is
with
the
it!
third time I've had to
Run
fucking
with it.
do them!
Hexagons are so 2008.
What the...
No, but they used to be all over the merchandise. You know, the merchandise, they would have like the tags on them. And they would
You'll be on the merchandise if you're not careful.
exactly all shaped. I think we should... This episode has driven us mad. Can we move on to Hort of the Villa Diodati? Because that was
The good
actually...
one.
the good
yeah.
one.
And we were sitting on the same sofa when we watched that.
Yeah, and I still think that was actually a perfect night, because it was a storm, because it was Storm Dennis, and it was perfect. It was a dark, stormy evening, and it was just the perfect night for it. And
I was under the duvet.
But even watching it, I was watching it in the middle of the afternoon for the rewatch, and it was bright and sunny outside. But even then, it was pretty atmospheric.
Yeah. I've rewatched it in dank and frigid, one may say.
Yeah, I've not written much for this. I've just written that it was okay. ending could have been tighter, more urgent, and done without the long protracted goodbye scene. I feel the same
Yeah.
about
Oh
It
God.
Takes Two
Yeah. Because
Wednesday.
it's a whole sense of urgency. Like, there's a
Yeah,
Cyberman. We need to get to this place before the
yeah,
thing
that would have
happens.
been quite good.
And then they're
But
doing
no,
this whole shit about, oh, it's a lake and there's a people and the music. And it's like, what? Like, guys,
it's just to get the
come
bit at
on,
the
get
end
on with
where
it.
it's just to get the bit at the end where Byron goes, "She was the universe," but it doesn't really have
I've
anything to
just,
do with the story.
I've just realised
This is the
I
thing.
love how I was moaning about the canon then when I was saying it fucks up the Mary Shelley stuff, only not knowing what was to come in the next few weeks, which I will
Well,
talk
basically,
about in a minute, which will
I
be
will
the big
just
bit.
finish what I've written here. So, ending could have been tighter. However, good atmosphere. The lone Cyberman really worked here. Menacing, lit well, good death scenes. Like the moment where,
Yes.
like, someone's hiding in the cot, and we see the Cyberman snap her neck. That is Torchwood stuff.
Oh,
And then
bloody hell, yeah.
The Cyberman holds the baby. That was really well
I
done.
really wanted him to
That
just
is one of my favourite
explode
moments
the
of the
baby.
Chibnall era of the last 5 years. That is an iconic moment for me.
Yeah.
And it's a decent setup, promising something that ultimately wasn't worth the build-up. And this is the thing, I said at the time, I would rather have bad setup and good resolution than the other way round, because we've had the other way round so fucking often.
Yeah. But yeah, very atmospheric, good character pieces. The Doctor was good. I didn't like her waistcoat. It looked a bit slapdash. Would have worked better on the 7th or 6th Doctor. But yeah, okay, I think.
But yeah, it's just, the main thing I have to say was the ending, but that is my only criticism. Other than that, it's a pretty decent ride.
Some of it doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, some of it does. No, it does make sense. What am I talking about? Good episode, good characters, really well shot. I think probably the best shot of the series, and a good precursor to the finale, which I don't think we have much to say about Villa Diodati, even though it's good. But can we please talk about the finale now?
Of course.
It's what everyone's here
This
for.
is exciting.
Okay,
So-
so
Well,
Okay,
we
kids,
need
want
to
some
talk about
canon?
The penultimate episode, Ascension of the Cybermen.
it's part of the finale. Anyway, Ascension.
No, but it's not part 1 and part 2. I think they're meant to be treated as separate episodes. Like, they're both very different. Like,
Yeah, they are. Okay. Right. Ascension of the Cybermen is my least favourite of the series. I found it
Yeah, same
boring,
here.
dull, just naff. Honestly, I think it was, for the first part of the finale, as you're probably going to deny me about again, it was a massive letdown. Nothing happened. It was very boring. The Cybermen didn't look as good. The Cybermen were underwhelming, even though the design was alright. I didn't like the spikes, though. There was just that sense of urgency was thrown out the window. Some of the scenes were just. I really don't have much. I don't have much to say about it. Like, it was a good setup for the last part, but as supposedly, oh god, just see it on BBC iPlayer and it haunts me. It was just shit.
You're listening to the future showrunner of Doctor Who, Mr. Oliver Hubbard.
It was very routine Doctor Who. It was very much running down corridors and. Direct Christian quote be there.
Well, they were running around in spaceships, not corridors.
And then Brendan was unneeded. There was no closure on that, which there should have been a
Well-
bit of in the first half. Even the, yeah.
It's poorly structured. Let me just yeah. So I've got two versions, a short version and a long version. Short version, no Earth shock, which is what this should have been. We should have had a companion die at the end, and it should have been like, big shoot them up, high stakes. But the dialogue, every single bit of dialogue is explaining what's happening. It's like Robert Holmes is spinning in his grave. There's no like bits of poetic beauty, or it's like Andrew Ellard said on Twitter. There's no moment where people go, "I loathe bus stops." Horrible places full of lost luggage and lost souls.
I love bus stations.
Oh no, it's just it is just exposition. The guest characters have names so stupid, it's just as well they're forgettable.
Honestly, I don't.
No, but let me just look this up, okay? And I can.
That was a
tell you
Ghostlight
how stupid
reference.
they are. Basically, what they've done, they've put them in. They've taken these like syllables and put them in a cut-up generator and just generated them at random.
Barracks
So it's
Demis.
Ravio, Ko Sharmas, Yed Lamy. To be fair, I did like his character.
I don't remember who
Alex
that was.
Austin really,
That's the thing.
He was one of the most memorable characters, but Feecat, Bescott.
Like, I'm looking at them now.
Buskull.
I'm looking at them
I'm-
now on BBC iPlayer. I'm looking
Listen-
through the episode, and it's just full of shit and waffle and filler.
There was
There's
just-
literally no
there was a character here
substance.
There's a character here called Meg. Honestly, like Fuskell. I swear these are insults, not names.
I think your analogy about the aero bar works much better for this story. Or like,
Well, yeah.
imagine like an aero bar that's like, you're promised to win £1 million by the end of it, except you're not. It's a joke.
Yeah. But it's like the technobabble makes me feel like I'm watching some formulaic sci-fi from the 1980s. The
You say
lone Cyberman,
Tenobabble.
the lone Cyberman, more so in Timeless Children, but even here it's wasted and not as effective as Villa Diodati. The Cyberdrones are fucking stupid.
Oh,
I don't
God,
know
yeah.
Yeah, the Brendan subplot is jarring and poorly structured. Very little happens other than people running around, and the stuff that does happen was as unpredictable as, say... Oh, no, sorry, this has been predictive text. But no, the stuff that does
excellent.
happen was as predictable as day turning to night. Very little of the dramatic tension we've come to expect from a series finale. But apart from that, it's fine.
Do you know, I'm more curious to find
3 out of 10.
Yeah, probably.
This
I
could
probably
go-
agree.
This could go fuck itself.
Yeah, basically. I was just curious. What was your predictive text going to say anyway?
No, was as unpredictable as, say, turning to night. I don't even know why it's changed it, but...
Okay.
there we go.
Well, yeah. Let's just talk about the big one.
But still, I mean, Ascension of the Cyberman was so piss poor that at least the series finale couldn't get any worse, could it? God, we're so fucking naive.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to
Talking
sum it
about
up.
Series 12 is driveless, man.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't. I've got so many. I've actually got twice as many notes on Timeless Children as I have for Ascension of the
I'm not going to
Cybermen.
ask you to read them all out because
No, but I want to read them out because I'm just gonna. They're all I've got to say.
Okay.
But it is watchable. But
It's watchable.
the
Yeah,
only-
I have a friend
yeah.
who's watched it like 6 times because he likes it
Yeah.
so much, and
but
I think
the only... Go on.
I'd also like to mention again, obviously the first reactions videos, what we were doing, we both
Well,
quite
yeah.
liked it, and I was just laughing
Well,
at everyone who got
we thought
angry.
it was okay. We were trying to wrap our heads around it. We were still
Yeah.
not quite sure what to think.
And then the next day, I came to the conclusion that it was shit. And now I think the backlash from the fandom has made me been embarrassed to
Well, it's like
associate
the-
with that
the
side
day
of the episode,
after,
so
like,
I've pulled myself
the
out
day
of that.
after, I had this big epiphany.
Yeah, me too. Honestly,
what the fuck
I was
was Skyfall
a revelation.
about? No, Spyfall. Sorry, it's just occurred to me that Series 12 made no sense overall. It's like the only saving grace for this episode are the good performances from Sacha Dhawan, Ian McKellen, and Alex Austin. But that's it. There are so
yeah.
many plot holes. I've mentioned the TARDIS, despite the fact it's pre-Hartnell, it still looks like a police box. When
Yeah.
Yaz and co arrive on Gallifrey, like, the Doctor, as far as I'm aware, has never confessed to them that Gallifrey is in ruins, and there's not been a gridlock moment where the Doctor says, oh, Gallifrey is like this, it's bright orange and there's a citadel. But Yaz knows she's on Gallifrey. She says, oh, this is Gallifrey. But she's never seen the place, and it's never been described to her! And how does the Master destroy Gallifrey? And I mentioned this in Day of the Doctor. It would have been nice to have a flashback scene where we actually see how he does that.
Yeah.
And then the moment takes the form of Missy, and then you get an explanation as to why the Master turned bad. But then again, I suppose that's not important because canon, like.
Oh, please,
like Margaret
please,
said,
please,
canon
please,
is
please, please.
unimportant because it's so convoluted.
Honestly,
anyway.
everything going on with people moaning about the canon, saying it's fucked and broken or whatever, please stop, because it's genuinely appalling to see. Like,
Well,
this
that is,
episode
this
has
is-
polarised the fandom so much, and it's really had a negative reaction. A lot of people have fallen out because of it, and it's just really...
I honestly thought that people were going to top themselves as a result of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny at first, but now it's just really annoying. So please, I know there's going to be people, but please do try and minimise your rants in the comments about how the canon is broken and the Timeless Children is shit, because I
To be
frankly
fair, we hardly get any
cannot be
people in the
arsed.
comments anyway. So,
No, no one's watched to this point. I don't care. Oh, cynical who's in the bit. I'm
it's like-
deactivating the channel. Bye, guys.
But the thing is, there are bigger problems than canon with this episode. Okay. How
don't-
can the Master be in two places at once? And why is the Matrix not a fucking beach?
He was. He
the
was
windows are probably open and people outside can hear me, but fuck them.
the. Not a beach. Well, the Matrix can be anything. It was a quarry in the Deadly Assassin.
Yeah, but it could be anything, and it's just grey.
Why did? Yeah, that is a thing. Why didn't they get into it through a stained glass window?
Why couldn't it have been, the backdrop to Windows XP, like those rolling fields?
Right, someone
It
please,
at least been that.
please chroma key that. Someone, can you please edit that? I'd love that.
I don't know how to chroma key stuff, but can I just write this?
Really?
Can I just read this out? So
Hmm.
the Doctor is again. This is not. I don't have a problem with canon being mangled, but the problem is, and I was a bit unsure about this at the time we did first impressions, but it took Council of Geeks. It took Council of Geeks to put it into words for me, and then I realised the Doctor is now a god. It's not the dismantling of canon I disagree with. I didn't mind Moffat exploring the past during his tenure, and RTD and Moffat kind of building up the godlike status, but it was more because it was alluded to and there was an element of mystery, and there was a good bit of dialogue towards the end of Good Man Goes to War about it when River Song goes, is this really what you imagined you'd be? I did like that moment. But it's just the fact the original mystery of a character who was special because of their actions and not their background has been replaced with something inferior for no good reason other than, well, what did the BBC say in their statement? Because they had to come out with a statement where they basically said, oh, doing an origin story is like a classic cliche of sci-fi writing. It's a classic bit of sci-fi writing. Yeah, but Doctor Who is not classic sci-fi writing. It's not its job to be cliched and it's like they said, oh, it doesn't change what happened. William Hartnell was fabulous. It just adds new layers and possibilities. Layers and possibilities that were already there, and Chibnall will either explore in a shit way or he won't explore at all, and the next showrunner will probably go and paste over them and like retcon them, because that's what Chibnall did with Gallifrey. It's like, Gallifrey's destroyed. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And it's just, it gets grating. Showrunners going back and forth and wanting to put their own spin on things. That Chibnall just wanted to. I've seen people say this was Chibnall's fan fiction from the 80s, and to be honest, it just feels subconsciously. I feel that's what's happened. But those aren't even my biggest problems.
Yeah.
My biggest problem.
Sorry about that noise, by the way. That was me headbutting my mic.
Yeah. My biggest problem with the Timeless Children. Let me pose you a question.
You may do so.
I'm getting a sore throat. This is what the episode has done to me. I'm getting a sore throat now. But
okay.
What does the 13th Doctor actually do? And this is my Jodie Whittaker was really dealt a bad hand with the script because she is so passive. And this isn't her fault. This is just Chris Chibnall being a dick. It's like
oh, a bit harsh.
No, but seriously, the 13th Doctor does not do anything. She is a victim of events. The Master is the driving force, and even he is just recounting things that he's heard. It's ultimately Ko Sharma that saves the day. And I'm just thinking, if there's nothing to lose, why would the Doctor not blow Gallifrey up? And she is actually saying, when she's in the TARDIS, she's saying, of course people have said, right, we're encouraging suicide bombing now. And that's supposed to be heroic. But it's like, the worst problem is, she says in the TARDIS, I do that in a heartbeat. But
that was me hitting my head against the desk, by the way, for anyone who's interested.
I can't work out why she ultimately doesn't do it. And it's like, it's just, it feels like Chibnall trying to ape Parson of the Ways in the End of Time. But it doesn't work, because at least there was going to be some consequence. Like, Parson of the Ways, Earth was going to be destroyed, and the End of Time, the Doctor would have killed his own people. But here, like, her own people, rather. God, I'm such a sexist. But the Doctor's own people are dead anyway. And I do feel
it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Series 13 has to be good.
The episode, it needs to knock the park out the water, or whichever way round it is. This episode is 65 minutes long, and I'm just sitting there. It is a little boring. You could have snipped at least 5 minutes off it and got it down to a nice round hour. Less for the exposition, which gets irritating. And I don't like. One of the things I wanted out of this story, which we're probably going to get out of Revolution of the Daleks, nothing happens to the companions. No dramatic tension as a result. Like, surely one of the companions should have come out, should not have come out of that. They come out, okay, so they're separated, but they come out pretty much unscathed. which immediately the story is less dramatic as a result. But my main... Something I do want to talk about, the what cliffhanger. And it's like the series in general, and this is the first thing that popped into my head when I heard the Jadoon were coming back. It feels like this series is trying to ape the RTD era and trying to tell people, oh no, this is all comfortable nostalgia, you're in 2007 again, which is not what it should be doing. It should be its own thing, and which was not my problem. Dr. Freedom was basically moaning about people moaning about the show and was like, look, the show had to change, that's what it does. And it's like, yeah, that's what we wanted. That's what our criticism of Series 10 was. That's not the problem. The problem is the change is shit. And it's like, the what cliffhanger, it's like, it worked when it was The Runaway Bride and Voyage of the Damned, but that's because what was happening
And Time Crash
was so out of left field and so original. But it wouldn't have worked, and it didn't jar too much, and it was needed. It was a nice bit of light humour after what just happened. With Journey's End, it would have been... They were going to do it for Journey's End, but it would have been too much, because I don't really like the idea of it as a running gag anyway. And, like, here it just jars. It's just a bit too... It's just a bit too abrupt, and it's just... It's trying to draw your attention back to something that hasn't been done for 10 years. And if it's not been done for 10 years, I'm just thinking let it lie. Which is why I'm thinking they shouldn't bring back Jenny from The Doctor's Daughter. But
oh, mate, Big Finish already taking care of that. Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah, and comic strips as well.
Oh, God.
But the thing is, the main problem with the what cliffhanger is they're not even trying to give the 13th Doctor a distinct character at this stage. And that's what really pisses me off. They're not even trying. And that's the thing with Timeless Children. I feel so sorry for Jodie. Because the potential that I felt that we were heading into a golden age when I first saw that trailer, and I mean, I was holding off having any concrete opinion, but I thought this is an opportunity to butt the series up and really change it and really do new things with it. And
I feel sick.
And we're just back to trying to be David Tennant.
I felt,
even if it was just Jodie Whittaker going, oh, for God's sake, or going, right, how am I going to get out of this one? Because that's the question we're asking ourselves, and that feels like a 13th Doctor thing to say. But no, it's just, oh, God.
I feel sick making this video. Not like, oh, it's disgusting, I'm repulsed. I feel car sick. Like, you know when you just want it to be over? You're feeling weak. And there's only one way to get rid of it, and that's by stopping. I was really enjoying it to begin with, this review, but thinking about the finale has just made me... I don't want to be... I think I don't like the finale that much. I don't hate it. It's okay, but I just don't want to be associated with the side of the fandom who are doing shit at the show.
But I'm not that sort of person.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm really desperately hoping, because I think this might have been... Because the ratings were down. For series finale, 4 million was not great. It was I mean, you can argue all you like about the ratings, but it was beaten by Dancing on Ice. And even Tom Spilsbury, writing for Doctor Who magazine, as he always does, about the ratings, he's having trouble sugarcoating it. He's saying, oh, the programme's dropping out the top 30. It's a programme that's been on for 12 years. You kind of expect it, but even so... it's depressing. I'm really desperately hoping that we get a return to form season 26 style, but I'm kind of wondering that it may be too little too late. I'm kind of hoping after the coronavirus pandemic, maybe people will want a good old-fashioned Dalek story for Christmas Day, for Christmas. But then again, are we going to get that? And we're certainly getting that, but then after that, that's already in the can, so we'll be getting that end of the year, and just as well, really. But after that, when is Series 13 going to land? I mean,
we don't know.
It's not planned to start filming until September.
But obviously...
but even then, that depends on what's happening. And, it might not be... we might not... It's really up in the air. It might not be on air till autumn 2021, which is going to mean an 18-month wait between series.
You could have two babies.
Yeah. And even... if we have a Christmas special in between that, it's just...
Yeah.
But then I just really want the show to come back and be I just want the show to be trying new things and be all experimental and like Chris Morris's Jam. That's what I want.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Yeah, dark and experimental and otherworldly and ethereal and...
Gushing, that's that.
Gushing with creativity.
Oh dear.
It's
That's a
just-
really
yeah.
obscure reference. If anyone gets that,
I do have
props to
fun
you.
tearing Ascension of the Cybermen to shreds, but it is a bit depressing, like you say.
Yeah, I think we'll
It's
have
just
to
as well
wait.
we're having
and-
these. It's just as well we're having the rewatches at the minute, which was
Yeah.
a great idea from Emily Cook. But then I've seen some people go, "Isn't this damage control?" Which is
Yep.
a bit of a conspiracy theory, but even so.
compensation.
But it is telling that you're getting massive audiences for David Tennant and Matt Smith rewatches, and then like Emily Cook wasn't involved in this, but Sacha Dhawan and Mandip Gill did their own Spyfall rewatch. But I think about 3 people turned up and did that.
I
They
mean,
didn't even get Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chipley involved. Like
Yeah.
Emily Cook, to her credit, is putting out all the stops. She's getting the big names, head writers retweeting, and we're being told like for the Stolen Earth, which is happening this Sunday, Rusty Davis is doing one of the best things he's ever done, and Emily Cook is saying, "Oh, it's something special," and I for one can't bloody wait. Oh, those were the days. I'm just realising how good we had it.
yeah.
It's
I
ju-
mean,
that
it's
was
just
my childhood. And
the
it's just,
uncertainty.
they were good days.
yeah. We'll have to wrap it up in a minute, but don't worry because we'll be
I
back
just-
for
but
Revolution
I'm
of the
still-
Daleks with our 2
Yeah.
kids.
In spite of everything that has happened, I'm still positive. I don't think
Yeah.
Chibnall's broken the show in the short term possibly, but the show will still come back. And I
Yeah.
remain positive that we'll
Definitely.
have a renaissance and a golden age. It's just a question of when we have it and what
Mhm.
that's going to take. How
Yep.
long is the show going to have to go off air as a result? But
Maybe.
the thing is, this hasn't broken my love for the show. I'm still going to
No,
keep on
of course not.
watching. I still think the show's past its best, but I'm still
It's-
going to... I'm not saying I'm done with the show because I'm too much of a fan to say that. It's just a terrible thing to say. And I'm not the sort of person to have that strong a reaction. I don't sort of rewatch RTD Doctor Who that
Yeah, and
often
you don't
because it was my childhood.
Don't fucking cry about the finale like TARDIS Zone.
Well, I don't blame him for having that response, to be fair, but
Yeah, you do.
well. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, that was our opinion on Series 12. If you had to describe Series 12 in a single sound, not even a single word, but just like a vowel or consonant, what would you?
Okay, let me think. I do it like this.
I think would be a decent one.
I think it would be like a whoa,
I think I'm
something like that. It's like it's great to begin with, then it comes crashing down at the end. And I think I just broke my
on
mic.
two possible scenarios here.
Can't wait to
like-
hear that back on the recording.
I'm like 2 possible scenarios here.
Yep.
Like my first sound to describe Series 12 would be, and then like huge sigh, and then my second one would be,
Oh dear, your neighbourhood is stirring. I think a good way to describe Chibnall's era would be an orgasm. Like it's good in the moment, but like you're sort of thinking after
sorry,
it,
my
you're like,
headphones just tore off.
oh right.
They nearly took my ears with them.
It's
I
sort
think
of
we
like,
better end it there because we've gone for 80 minutes.
yeah. I hope
Well,
you guys,
it'll
if
be
you guys
75
have made
when
to
you
this
cut it
point,
down, but
yeah. I hope you guys
let us
have made
know
it
in
to
the
this
comments.
point.
Buy my new album.
Yeah. Oh, that's not out yet? Is it? Is it out?
It'll be out next Friday.
Yeah. Subscribe to Max, guys. Please subscribe to Max. Don't watch the video on my main because it's embarrassing. But for the channel, much more content upcoming, reviews and whatnot, and stay tuned for Time of the Whovians United. You may have heard of them on their channel soon. I shall be on there, and yeah, I've got a few bits and pieces coming up. I've got a lot of with nothing else to do at the moment. I know they're not great videos, but collection updates. I've got lots and lots of stuff packing up, including this, which you might be able to hear right here. I'll do a little ASMR for you. That is in fact the 13th Doctor action figure, 5.5 inch / 14 centimeter scale, with bag and sonic screwdriver accessories, ages
Yeah.
5+. Yeah, the purple
for my
variant.
record, I am planning to do a review of Inferno for the
Ooh.
50th anniversary,
Okay.
so that will be next month. I've already recorded the pre-title sequence, but I won't give anything about that away because it's just too good an idea.
Oh.
But
It
yeah,
doesn't involve you going to an alternate universe, does it?
No, I don't have the budget to do that,
Oh.
and also the current guidelines as well. That's not
Well, they
really
didn't do it very well in the
possible.
story. They just put on some iMovie effects onto John Pertwee, and he looked like a twat.
Yeah. The thing is, the problem with the Inferno review is I do actually have to watch the thing, and to say, yeah, it's going to be I thought Seeds of Death was exhausting. It's 7 parts this one, but
I think it goes quite fast for a 7-parter, I think. But anyway,
I thought that time, but
that was Series 12. Please let us know what you guys think. I would also like to say thank you so much for the support on the channel recently. It's been amazing. I haven't had a chance to properly say it in a video because a lot of our videos have been pre-recorded, like the Series 1. But thanks so much for all the love you're showing for the channel. Keep it up, guys, because I'm really appreciating it. And I'm loving it. I love that you guys are actually wanting to watch the content, all 4 of you. So, yeah, make sure to tune in for our upcoming videos. Thank you for being here. We've been Cynical Who.
We can finally lay Series 12 to rest and never have to speak of it again. Well, not that. Yeah, it's like I say. I will rewatch episodes in the future.
Yeah.
It's not. It wasn't that bad.
No.
But I can't really say that it was good or either. I would say it was passable.
Yeah. Passable. And that's what this is all about. I don't know what that means, but I don't care because I want to end the video now because this is going to take a long time to render. Might have to be an overnighter. Yeah. Anyway, this has been Cynical Who. Make sure to subscribe to Max. Follow us on all the Twitters and the bits and pieces and whatnot. Stay tuned in the upcoming days for upcoming videos like time lapses, reviews, and a certain Stolen Earth live stream coming up. But
Possibly.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty keen on doing it, so yeah.
Me too.
Well, it's on then. Let's do it. But yeah, this has been Cynical Who. You have been struggling for your very existence listening to us waffle for.
But so have we. So
yeah. So thank you very much for watching. We'll
Bye-bye.
see you unless we die. Goodbye.